Hello. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start off doing comparative to advantage practice. Sorry for my poor planning. I thought I made this, whatever. It's too late. I don't even do it myself. So we are going to start off the one that has the PPF curves on the front between alpha and beta. So this very first page is determining comparative absolute advantage. Hopefully we kind of remember what that is. Absolute advantage, remember, you should make more of everything, while comparative advantage has the lowest opportunity cost. Y'all remember the phrase for output problems? Yes, that's not how I said it, but it works. Other over, yeah, or other on top works fine. And the input problems, it becomes a numerator. Do we want to just dive in and try to attempt these three problems on our own, or do we want to work through them together? Together? Andy? No. Lowest opportunity cost, and that was the other over if it's an output problem, or it becomes a numerator if it's an input problem. That wasn't a multiple choice question. I was just answering your question. Hey, how long do you think it might take?
I have no idea because I don't know what's wrong.
My document camera is not working. She's here to fix it. Okay, so let's take a vote on doing this together or by ourselves on the first page. Just so together, by ourselves. By one. Okay. All right. So to set up this question, I will put it in a table format if we remember how to do this. So we have alpha. Where are my pen tools? Oh, I swear to God, nothing's ever working. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay.
Try not to mute it this time.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Hey. Sure. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
23.
Notebook recorded. Good word. Show that. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're back in business. We're doing alpha and beta, and they are making grain and steel. Using all their resources towards grain, alpha can make 30 grain, or if they use all their resources towards steel, they can make 30 steel. Beta, it's a little slower. They can only make 10 grain or 20 steel. Okay, so looking at question 32, it is going straight into opportunity cost, which is comparative advantage. If this is absolute advantage, it's like, wow, alpha has the comparative advantage of both grain and steel because they can make more. But it's going straight into opportunity cost. And let me just change the thickness of my pen really quick. Oh, it's over here.
It's output?
It is output because, first off, it's a PPF curve. So PPF curves can only show output, but it also says in tons, which is what you make, rather than hours or days, which is what it takes to make steel and grain. Okay, so it's asking how much does the cost of grain cost, but we're going to do the whole thing, and then we'll plug in our answers. So other comes over, 30 over 30, other comes over, 30 over 30, other comes over, 20 over 10, other comes over, 10 over 20, and then you simplify. But remember, when you are doing opportunity cost and comparative advantage, that fraction turns into units of the other thing because that represents opportunity cost of 1 grain of steel, 1 grain costs 1 steel, and then 1 steel costs 1 grain. 20 over 10 for beta is going to be 2 steels, and then a half of a grain. Because old habits die hard, I'm going to circle whoever has the lowest opportunity cost because that is who has the comparative advantage. So alpha has the comparative advantage in grain because they can produce at the lowest opportunity cost, and beta has the comparative advantage of steel because they can produce at the lowest opportunity cost. On number 32, it says before specialization in trade, the domestic opportunity costs are producing 1 ton of grain in alpha and beta, which is the following. So I go to the grain column. For alpha, it costs 1 steel, and for beta, it costs 2 steels because that represents cost. And so for alpha, 1 ton, and for beta, 2 tons. So it's going to be B as in boy on that question. On 33, the theory of comparative advantage implies that alpha would find it advantageous too. So remember, whatever they have the lowest opportunity cost is what they are making and only making that thing, which means they're going to have to import the other thing that they don't make. So like alpha only makes grain, they're going to have to import steel. Beta only makes steel, they're going to have to import grain. So it says alpha would find it advantageous to export grain and import steel. And that's A. They're not going to be exporting both or importing both. Someone's going to be making grain, someone's going to be making steel. Okay, 34. Trade agreements. Do y'all remember how to do this? Yeah, it's a yeah. It could be in between. So let's see if that actually.
You said oh, you'll never need to know this.
No, I didn't say you never need to know this. I
It won't be on there. Don't worry.
I said that if it's on there, it's one question. And if it's a matter of time, which sometimes it is, it's a matter of just like, I don't have time. Because this question, if you were to work out every single one of these, this question might take you a solid 2 or 3 minutes to do, which you don't have. Because you have about 1 minute per question. So then it just becomes like I'll come back to it if I have time for it. So, but let's just see if Annie's little trick of memory works here, because I actually have not used that trick on this question before. So we'll see. So if we find some number between what we have here, that actually is going to work. So for one grain, what's the number between 1 and 2? 1.5 steels. This actually works. Is that an answer choice? Yeah. So that trick works. That only is the case. That trick only works if it's advantageous for both. But on an FRQ, there has been questions where it's like, is it advantageous for alpha? Is it advantageous for beta? Which are 2 separate questions. That finding a middle number only works if it's advantageous for both. It does not help you to figure out if it's advantageous for one or the other. You have to just like work it out. So like, for example, let's look at one of the wrong answer choices. Let's look at C, which is 1 grain equals 1 steel. Okay, so I go to my grain column. I just start wherever the 1 is, which happens 1 grain. I go to my grain column and I look at what's not circled. So 1 grain costs 1 steel, but beta 1 grain costs 2 steels. So far, that's good because they're giving up less steels for grain than they would have done on their own. But let's see if it's advantageous for alpha. 1 grain equals 1 steel is the same thing as 1 steel equals 1 grain. 1 steel, go to the steel column. You look at what's not circled. 1 steel costs 1 grain. 1 steel costs 1 grain. Well, that's exactly what it costs them to make. So it's not advantageous. It's just the same price. And so, like, that's how you would have to do it for each of them. But this actually worked out really well. Me personally, I would get to that question and I would make a little timer of 30 seconds. And if I haven't figured the question on 30 seconds, I move on. Because these questions can take a long time. Okay. Now that our little eco brains are nice and warm, hopefully, flip to that next page. There are just 2 questions on the next page. One of these questions you have seen before. At least one of these questions you have seen before. I'm going to give you, I don't know, I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes to answer those 2 questions. was about 2 minutes. Okay. These questions did not require any math. It was like the answer choices were just like so like, oh well, that can't be right, that can't be right, that can't be right. Hopefully you found that as well. So for factory X and factory Y, they make equal amounts of skateboards. So no one has the absolute advantage in skateboards because it's a tie. Okay, so saying that anyone has the absolute advantage of skateboards cannot possibly be right. It's a tie. So B is wrong. E is wrong. And back to A, factory X. Factory X has absolute advantage in bikes. No, factory Y, they can make more bikes, not factory X. Remember, absolute advantage is just like who is best. It has no there's no math required. Okay, so we're down to C and D. You could make a whole table, and you could do an output problem, either goes over, that's fine. But here's the thing. When you have a tie with skateboards or tie with any product, and then the other one is not a tie, you don't really have to do the math. Like if these are a tie, they both make equal amounts of skateboards, but factory X makes so much more bikes than factory Y makes so much more bikes than factory X, and that's probably what they're going to make. Factory X is going to be making Y. Factory Y is going to be making bikes, and then X is going to be making skateboards. You could do the math. It's going to tell you the exact same thing. And so, like, that makes C the correct answer of factory X right here has the comparative advantage in skateboards, and factory Y has the comparative advantage in bikes. All right, how was that question? Okay? All right. Question 30, same type of answer, or same type of, like, not really any math required here, because you cannot have a comparative advantage in both or neither. You can have an absolute advantage in both, and you can have an absolute advantage in either. You can be great at everything or bad at everything. But the whole comparative advantage, someone's got to win that. You can't have both or neither. So on B, where it says country X has the comparative and absolute advantage in both goods, cannot happen. Or C, neither country has the comparative advantage. No, someone has to. And then back to A, just looking at the numbers. Country X has the absolute and comparative advantage in motorcycles. That might be true, but do they have an absolute? Country X, right here, only makes 50 motorcycles. Country Y can make more, 75. So I don't know about the comparative advantage part, but I know that they don't have an absolute advantage part, and it's saying it's both. So it's not that one either. So either country Y has an absolute and comparative advantage in automobiles, or country Y has an absolute advantage and comparative advantage in motorcycles. So I could do the math, but it's talking about absolute for automobiles or motorcycles. And so going back to Y, country Y can make 75 motorcycles and 40 automobiles. They can make more motorcycles, but they make less automobiles. So they have an absolute advantage in motorcycles, and that's they don't have an absolute advantage in automobiles. And so it's got to be E. Wait. Yeah. I wrote it wrong here. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Why did I? Okay, I'm done. It's E. All right. We are going to skip over this next question. Let's do an FRQ real quick. I do want to. I do want to. Which one should we do? Which one should we do? Let's do the Brazil and Argentina one. Brazil and Argentina are training partners. This one's the most similar to an FRQ. Right, looks like this. Okay. Brazil and Argentina are trading partners. Both countries have the same amount of resources and can produce either beef and or coffee. The table below shows the maximum number of units of beef or coffee that can be produced by each country. Assume constant opportunity costs for both countries. Okay. I'm going to give you some time to work on A and B only, and we'll see how well we do, and then we'll move on. So just part A and part B only. If you're not quite sure, maybe use a pencil. One of each. Friends were good. Made us have like, oh, we all had like a similar experience. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, one of each. Okay, we are working on this FRQ on the comparative and absolute advantage packets.
Did you finish anything else?
Did we finish anything else? We finished the first page, second page.
Oh my god, you guys been cooking.
We have been cooking. Out the store. Okay, is that a spoon in your pocket? Look, this is for everyone.
Oh, this. It's being inside it. Forgot to take it off.
I'm sorry. I mean, like, okay. Maybe you have something for A and B, because we're just doing A and B right now. If you do, share with a friend and see if you guys got the same thing, if you're stuck on something or what's going on. Okay. You don't have to.
There is.
More opposing. Would be the ends. Just like this would be like two. So I don't know if they said, oh, this is what the current
I'm sure that's not it.
Did you not realize in the classes or outside?
Right. Oh my god.
I was saying
So
it's the same like
it's like percentage.
No, they're just not.
They have less.
No.
I was like thinking we should even like where is this going?
No. Okay, let's go over A and B. The graph shows what can be produced. Just because you can produce it doesn't mean you are producing it. What they are producing is 5 units of beef and 1 unit of coffee. The question is, what would that look like on the graph? Because we're just doing Brazil. Let's put beef over here. It doesn't matter. And coffee over here. It says constant opportunity costs in the directions, which you can't see anymore, but they're there. And 20 beefs and 2 coffees is what they can produce. And at constant opportunity cost, that means the slope is the same throughout. Okay, so if this is 2 and this is 1 and this is 0, what would 1 be hitting here? No. 10. Because that's the ratio. It's like the slope. Does that make sense? But it's not at any of those. It's at 1 coffee. Oh, hello. And 5. This would be 5 right here. That's where they're at. They're at point A. And how would you describe point A? Inefficient or recession, or you can say this lots of different ways. They're not using all their resources. They have resources that are underutilized. You can say a whole bunch of different things. But you have to talk about the PPF curve. You don't have to draw it. You have to explain. If you only draw it without explaining, that's not credit. You have to explain these words. So you have to say, that is underneath their PPF curve. Therefore, they're not using all of their resources. They're being inefficient, possibly in a recession.
Can I just say PPF?
You can abbreviate PPF. You can abbreviate PPF and aggregate supply demand, but try to really eliminate maybe interest rates. Don't, because I could be inflation. So if it's pretty obvious. All right, which country has the comparative advantage in producing beef? Explain it using numbers. Is this an input problem or an output problem? Output, because it says this can be produced by each country. It's an output. What's the saying for output? Other on top, other over. So for Brazil, other comes over 2 over 20. Other goes over 20 over 2. For Argentina, 5 over 20. Other goes over 20 over 5. Simplify. 1/10 of a coffee. It's really hard to read. 10 beefs. 1/4 of a coffee. 4 beefs. And remember, who has the lowest number wins. So in the beef column, we are comparing 1/10 and 1/4. 1/10 is less. For coffee, we're comparing 10 versus 4, and 4 is less. So whoever has the smallest number in the beef column has the lowest opportunity cost. So which country has a comparative advantage? I look in the beef column. That belongs to Brazil. So I would say Brazil. Because, and it says explain using numbers, because you can't just say the opportunity cost is lower. A few years ago on the AP test, you could have easily said that for credit. But they're telling you use numbers, so please do. Because their opportunity cost of 1/10 is lower than 1/4.
Can you explain it without fractions? Say
Yeah.
4 units of coffee is worth 1 unit of beef. Or it costs 4 units. 1 unit of beef costs 4 units of coffee.
1 unit of beef does not cost 4 units of coffee. 1 unit of beef costs 1/4 of coffee for Argentina and 1/10 of coffee for Brazil. It's just fractions.
So
the column is 1. 1 beef costs these fractions. 1 coffee costs these numbers. Remember?
Is this the thing with the input thing and
Yeah. I just fit on myself. Input, if this was input, this would be this is the number of hours it takes to make beef and coffee, or the number of days it takes to make beef and coffee. When in doubt, and you have no idea, I honestly cannot tell, it's probably output. There's more output problems on
the other column over this column.
Yeah, other goes over for output, other goes over. Input, I become the numerator. And numerator, input, numerator. All right.
If you want to credit for your math, do you have to redraw it on the line?
No.
Or does it count if it's up there?
It counts if it's up there, except if you're doing a calculation problem. If you're doing a KS, KT, MPS, NPC problem, you need to throw all your math on the lines because that's showing your work. Because it'll say, show your work. Down here, on E, it says show your work. So all math, any type of sketching, I'm going to write the formula over here. No. You write that on the lines. But here it's just use numbers in your explanation. So you don't have to show how you got those numbers. You just need to use them. All right. Let's try to attempt C. C is another terms of trade one. So it says, now assume that each country specializes in the production of goods in which they have a comparative advantage. If the terms of trade are 3 units of beef for 1 unit of coffee, will Argentina gain from the trade, and explain? You can't just say yes or no. Your explanation has to be right for you to get credit. So attempt letter C. Letter C. Yeah, that's what you want to do. When we're doing questions. Most turnout for tutor we've had today. Why'd you come? What convinced you? Okay. Are you ready for C? All right. I don't like the way that it's written. 3 units of beef is to 1 unit of coffee. I don't like that at all. I like the 1 first because everything needs to be organized and in its place, otherwise anxiety. So what I write it this way. I just flipped it. 1 coffee equals 3 beef. It's the same. 3 beef, 1 coffee, 1 coffee, 3 beef. No, that's no different. But I also want to do its reciprocal because I need to know. Do I need to know its reciprocal? 1 unit of coffee, 1 coffee. Yeah, I need to do its reciprocal because this only tells me the coffee column, and I need to know both. I just need to know both. So 1 coffee costs 3 beefs. I need to know what 1 beef is going to cost. Stop. Okay, what does 1 beef cost? 1/3 of a coffee. Okay, wherever the 1 is the column that you look at. So we're looking for Argentina. It says, will Argentina gain from the trade? So, well, I don't know. We haven't answered the question yet. I haven't looked at it yet. So, Argentina, I look at my Argentina. What is Argentina going to have to buy? Well, they're making coffee because they have a comparative advantage in coffee, so they're going to have to buy beef. If they bought beef on their own, if they made beef on their own, Argentina, it costs them 1 beef costs 1/4 of a coffee. Now, with trade, 1 beef costs 1/3 of a coffee. And so, is Argentina going to trade, or are they going to make it themselves? Because 1/4 is less than 1/3. And they rather give up 1/4 than giving up an entire third, because that's more. And so, will Argentina gain from the trade? No, because they give up less coffee, and then that's 1/3. Oh, sorry, 1/4.
Can you explain it the other way too and say like they're not getting as much beef as they would if they were trading within the country?
No. They're not getting as much beef?
Or like
No, it's all about cost.
It's like too cheap is like what I'm saying. Like
what's too cheap?
Their coffee.
Their own coffee is too cheap?
Well, like now, because their own coffee used to be 4 beefs, and now it's 3 beefs.
No, you're looking at the wrong column.
But it doesn't say. Because if you're saying like, oh, like we could trade in our own country.
Yeah. Let's
Okay, we could make it themselves. I can make it cheaper than what you're giving it to me for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So let me finish my thought. No, because they give up less coffee, 1/4, than trade, 1/3. Yeah, trade is more expensive than themselves. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish D and E, kind of like on your own, do your own thing, and then we will go over D and E together. Yeah. That's it 40?
No, for you.
Oh.
4 units of beer.
I would write units because that looks like a 0. Yeah. Yeah, be careful with that U. Hey, I got the Chromebook.
Yes.
Did you bring it to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know who did it?
no, I have no idea. I think they just walked away with it.
Okay.
There you go.
I probably hit
There it is.
little klepto.
So
That's what they're making. So they don't need to know the cost of this.
They need to know the answers. But then.
Okay, so you don't need to buy what you think. You only need to pay for what you don't. And so the opportunity cost, whatever they have lowest, is what they're making. So like we circle that one, there's 4 plus 10. And so that's what they're making. They're making coffee. They're going to buy coffee. They're selling coffee. They're going to have to buy beef. Well, they're going to make beef. Yes. They make beef, it costs them 1/4, but if they trade, it costs them 1/3. Well, then I'd rather make it myself.
Everything I get to expect.
Because you want to get college credit.
Yeah, I'm literally not even on the lines anymore.
Okay, just keep in mind, I gave you these lines. You would have like 4 pages of lines on the AP test.
Oh.
Yes, you have more lines.
Can I bring?
You have all the lines in the world.
That's actually so nice.
Yeah, room for activities, graphs, make them as big as you want. Full page.
Just can I bring a big calculator to this?
No, you're not allowed to use. Yeah, kids. You need to bring your own graphing calculator. You can be a scientific calculator, but like go to like Five Below on the way home or the Dollar Store on the way home and buy yourself a little 4-functioning calculator.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. I don't know
Because
what I'm
like I
doing.
thought I saw on like the college board thing that like is it not standard for all AP tests?
There's a list of calculators that are scientific that are approved, but like if you just get a 4-functioning calculator that is just like the ones that we have, those are all approved.
Like there, I feel like I remember the rules being more lenient than they were for even SAT.
You cannot use a graphing calculator.
Really?
Really.
I literally used one like last year on staff.
Well, that's a different course, different rules.
Statistics.
Graphing is the course. You're not gonna. Well, you just All right. Talk about D&E with a friend. See what they got. See what you got. Compare.
Okay, I said I did not opportunity cost of producing meat.
What happened like wait.
Yeah, they are.
So I would actually.
How many zeros are in the table?
I don't know.
That's what I did, but I don't know if do I change it to where it's
Change this.
You would change this to maximum coffee in Argentina. So coffee in Argentina is 5. I would make it 10. And then do the math again.
I made it 10 and then I made
And then we'll get your opportunity.
So is that not less 25 cents?
Change it. It would
but
be
I just don't know if I change it to where it changes.
I would, but they still have, they have the option.
So if I made it
Okay.
What's the answer?
I've done it. So we're gonna do it together. We're gonna find out together. Yes.
The math is not that.
I think all of y'all at the same time. Plus AP tutoring, which is stressful. Okay. And D. Let's talk about D. Okay. D is a good old trial and error type of question. It says, suppose the maximum production of coffee in Argentina increases. How will this affect Argentina's opportunity cost of producing beef? So what I would do is I would off to the side, I would make a brand new table. I'm going to put myself over there. Okay. I would do, let's do Argentina. Beef and coffee. And it says that they can produce more coffee. So they're still producing 20 beefs. Jesus Christ. 20 beefs, but instead of 5 originally, let's make it 10. Let's go nuts. And still do the other over thing. Other over, 10 over 20. So this is a half of a coffee. And then 20 over 10. So this is 2 beefs. And then it's like, how will this affect opportunity cost of producing beef? Well, before, the opportunity cost of producing beef for Argentina was 1/4 of a coffee. And now, the Argentina producing beef costs half of a coffee. Oh no, opportunity costs are going to increase because the ratio is changing. You're an idiot.
That's all you have to say.
See, like, I'm not math-minded. I had to do the work to see it. Yeah, I cannot do this in my head.
Because I wrote down notes. I
But you
really I just explain. I was like, I don't think that's like number.
You could have said,
That was
you could have said, for example, if it was 10 rather than 5, the new opportunity cost would have been a half as opposed to a 4. You could have said that. You didn't have to. You could have just said the ratio changed, it's different.
Argentina's opportunity cost increases since the price to produce 1 beef increases.
The price? No. Opportunity cost. Sorry.
Your explanation was just the ratio changes?
Yeah.
They'll take that?
Yeah.
Looks like there's more coffee per unit.
That's like, yeah. Okay.
Writing no because it's forward and their opportunity cost.
How's opportunity cost increases to 1/2 coffee rather than 1/4 coffee. Okay. All right. On E. Did y'all get to E?
Yes.
Okay. Assume that Argentina's civilian working age population is $50 million. $1 million. Yes, people are dollars. Okay. We are money. Time is money. Apparently, people are money. Okay. 50 million. This is population. All right. The labor force participation rate is 70%. 70% of 50 million people are in the labor force. Remember, labor force includes both the unemployed and employed. The population includes everybody. But what's 70% of 50?
35.
Okay, so there's 35 people in the labor force. Because that's 70% of 50. The unemployment rate is 20%. So of this 35 million people, 20% of them are unemployed. Because remember, this labor force includes the both unemployed plus the employed. So 20% is unemployed, and the other 80%, it's got to be 80%, is employed. So you can just do, we're trying to calculate the number of employed people. So 80% of 35 is 28. There are 28 million people, Jesus, in the employment rate. So it's 80% of 35 gets you that number, 28. Math. Math is fun. Okay, let's just this. Okay. Oh, that's right. She did say Sibelius. God. I'm not very experienced. Okay, so we are going to pause this packet to change gears. I originally thought that I had convinced it to combine this at two. We're going to look at the currency packet now. It's the other one. If you need more practice, I'm going to be making a key of this one. I thought I had one. I probably do. Saved on my drive. So you can go and check yourself later and you can spend some time. But let's talk about currency. So we're switching gears, still talking about trade and all that. But now we're talking about currency. So let's warm up our currency brain, not with the FR cue that's on the front, but with the, okay, let's go. Where do I want to go? Let's go to number 5. Right here. Okay, number 5. I'm going to let you guys do number 5 and number 10, and then we'll share our answers with each other and see what we got for appreciation and depreciation. No, that's not. That's math. That is math. That is not the correct math. That's math. That's not how those computations work.
Like when you break apart, that is like in the.
No, that is incorrect.
Wait, but isn't you say that the labor force is just subtract like the labor force includes the employment, right?
Employed and unemployed.
So in
No, this is for the other.
Yeah. Yes. So, see these little tiny numbers here? Yeah. So, this column is every grade. Yeah, grade column. So,
I
one
remember
grade
Christ.
has to be a number between 1 and 2 steals. What's the number between 1 and 2?
Where's this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I do not remember that. Exactly.
Wait, I have a question. Another question. How do you know if like the one is appreciating or the other one's depreciating? Because
Well,
you go with the US dollar.
They both can't be appreciating or both depreciating.
So in the end, but if one ends up appreciating, the other obviously depreciating. But like based on the interest rate, like how do you know which one to put? Because
the US dollar would.
Is that
So
like,
it's
is
perspective
that
of the US dollar.
oh,
bringing the dollar?
Yes.
so it says
The pound. Okay, let's go over question 5. So I rewrote it down here. Attention. What? All right. This is what a 1 says. Oh my God, it went up. It appreciated. No. Bad.
I didn't put that. Why
Okay. Well, you flinched. So what this means is 1 pound buys $2, and the next day 1 pound buys $3. So 1 pound bought more the next day. The pound must be stronger, and vice versa. I needed $2 to buy a pound. Now I need $3 to buy the same thing. My dollars aren't going as far as I used to. I need to buy more for the same amount, so it's worth less if I need more of it to buy the same. So the US dollar depreciated and the pound appreciated. The question is, what happens to like things costing there? And so we can get rid of all of this. It says US dollar would depreciate, making US stuff cheap and other stuff more expensive. So US importing from Britain is going to be more expensive because their currency is more expensive. And so A is the correct answer here. Yeah. This is about, if you remember, appreciates, XN goes down. Depreciates, XN goes up. I just know. Okay. I've been doing this for a while. What? The dollar got cheaper, weaker, and therefore cheaper. And the pound got stronger, therefore expensive.
It costs more dollars to buy a pound.
Yes, so if you go to Britain, everything's going to cost more because you used to buy something at the dollar store in London for $2. Now you need $3 to buy the same dollar store thing. The pound store. Thank you. Okay, on number 10, it says the appreciation of the US dollar on the foreign exchange market could be caused by, not is going to cause. We're trying to figure out what would cause the appreciation. But it says by a decrease in which of the following. So as a good test taker, I'm going to remember that all of these things are decreasing. So I'm going to put a little down arrow next to every single one of these so I remember that they're going down. So a decrease in which of those causes the currency to appreciate. So remember, the appreciation means that there's more demand for the US dollar. So people want the US dollar. So which of these things going down will make people want the US dollar? Okay. I was going to say there's one that we can eliminate really easily, but there really isn't any that we can eliminate really easily. But let's look at A. If interest rates goes down, remember this unit, interest rates is the money made on like foreign financial assets, like foreign bonds and foreign stocks and foreign savings accounts. And we want to put our money where interest rates are super high because that means we're earning interest. So people are not going to want to save their money in the United States if it's not paying any interest. So it's not that one. We're looking for something that would increase the demand for the US dollar, and that won't be it. That would decrease the demand. What's B talking about? What's the consumer price index? Not the GDP thingy. Inflation thingy. CPI measures inflation. So what does it mean to say that the CPI is going down? And therefore things are relatively cheap, low in price. And so you probably want to buy all the things that are cheap. It looks like America's having a sale, and we probably want US dollars to buy stuff at that America sale. And so that is the correct answer here. C is wrong because we're looking for more demand, and C literally says less demand. So not that one. If we are exporting less, then they wouldn't need our currency. We're wanting something that would definitely need their currency more. And if we lower tariffs on imported goods, we'll buy more imported goods and less American goods. And we're looking for more American goods. So that is why B is the correct answer here. If a currency has, yes. Wait, what? If there's inflation, your currency, the US dollar, will depreciate.
So
Because no one wants to buy it there.
this says a decrease.
So if there's the exact opposite, if there's a deflation, and their prices are low, then the US dollar will appreciate. I mean, remember like way back when at like very first day of school, they're like, what's appreciation? And y'all were like, the value of the dollar going down. What's inflation? The value of the dollar going down. So it kind of matches. Okay, let me step clear. That's for net exports, which is the next step. So flip to the next page.
That would make sense.
This is a decrease in tariffs on goods imported. Oh, D, a decrease of this is caused by the XN happens afterwards. Yeah. Yes, not the other way around. That's worse. No, depreciation and then it goes up. Okay. All right, go to the next page, 28. I'm going to let you work that whole page out, 28 all the way through 60, and then we'll just cover them. Is coming back? Oh, really?
How many people all are worse at school than I am? How much time are you? Oh,
So like, what is it? See, the Star Wars night still.
What a trade surplus is cost back. Both. It's both. It's just using the context. What is it?
Wait, no, I
Completely.
This one makes sense.
There's more demand for trade sales. Which one to think of?
Oh,
okay.
Okay, that's what I got.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I got it.
On literally every single one.
Okay. All right. If you haven't already, share your answers with people next to you just to see if we're like okay, or if you have no answers, you can blink at them. SOS. S. Oh.
I do
Okay. These are 3 longs, 3 shorts, 3 longs, 3 shorts, 3 longs.
She just said oh soda on this.
Okay, probably. All right. 28. A country can have an increased surplus in its balance of trade. Balance of trade is another way to say this guy. This is a balance of trade. Net exports is a balance of trade. So XN. XN will have to be in surplus or deficit. Deficit is when you have more imports. A surplus is when you have more exports. And so B, declining imports and rising exports will put this whole thing in surplus. If you have, China has a trade surplus. They have more exports than imports. And so it's going to be B on that first answer. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay. Let's move on to 26 just because it's right here. It says, which of the following will cause the United States dollar to depreciate relative to the euro? So we're looking for the US dollar depreciate. We're looking for either less demand for the US dollar, or you can think about more supply of the US dollar, but I think it makes more sense to think of like what is something that people don't want the US dollar for. Like they don't want the US dollar. Okay, so if there are lower prices in the United States, that means things are cheap. They probably want to buy stuff from here, which means that they need the US dollar. So it's not that one. A decrease of interest rates in Europe means that they're relatively higher here. So like if they have low interest rates, that means we have high interest rates. And when they want to save their money at high interest rates, they would be more demand. And we're looking for less demand. So it's not that one either. Say it again.
B and D are like the same thing.
B and D.
So you can cross out B.
B and
They're saying
oh, sorry, I was looking at B and C. Wow. Okay. Yes. If they're decrease here, then they're increase there. So these two, you're right, are the same thing. And here's the thing: if you have two answer choices that are the exact opposites, like it says increase there, or there's another one that says increase here, it's between those two. Like if you have ones that are the exact same ones, it's not those. But if you have two answer choices that are the opposites, it's between those. Okay. What do we have an answer? A letter. Oh, I heard both. Okay, so notice how these two are the opposites. An increase of household incomes in the United States is the exact opposite as an increase in household incomes in Europe. It's got to be between one of those. So increased household income means things like GDP is high, which means things are expensive. Okay, or and then same thing here. Household incomes in Europe are high. That means things are expensive. Which one would cause less demand for the U.S. dollar? If our stuff is expensive or their stuff is expensive? A. Our stuff is expensive. A is correct. Okay, number 14. An increase in the country's current account. Remember the current account, financial account? Fabulous. Test is Friday. Test is Friday.
Next Friday, don't worry.
Yeah, that's Friday.
No,
Don't say things like that.
That's Friday means all it takes is 1 week to start.
We take it day by day, decision.
2 more tutors and I'm good.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's all we have. So
No, you're gonna need. We don't have tutors.
After the AP Gov test, I'm gonna like really lock in.
we have tutoring.
Thanks, last word.
After Tuesday, I'll be okay.
We only have tutoring Tuesday and Thursday this week.
See, Tuesday, Thursday's when I'll look.
Exactly.
After they pick up.
What?
Literally the day
Tomorrow's
before
like-
the Gov test. So next week.
No, you don't have to worry about the
Yeah. So 14. You know what? Look at all this space that we have here. Let's draw a balance of payments little T-chart. Boys in the back, y'all can be on your phone at home. If you're here, you're paying attention. Otherwise, leave. No one's forcing you to be here. That's what I thought. Okay. I gave you food yesterday. Here you go. Okay. Current account, financial account. Let's talk about everything in the current account. XN. Unilateral transfer payments. Unilateral. What's a unilateral transfer? A one-way transfer of money. You're not buying anything. You're just like sending financial aid to Haiti or whoever. And then also profit. Profit from the financial account. Because in the financial account is stocks and bonds and land, real estate, and savings accounts. So the financial tool itself, the financial asset itself, is in the financial account. But any profit made on the financial account goes in the current account along with all trade and unilateral transfer payments. What's that?
What's the middle one say?
Bonds? Unilateral transfers. Okay.
Are you sick?
Yeah, this is my third week being sick. A cold that won't go away. And depression. An increase in the country's current account surplus will result in which of the following in the short run? So, current account surplus. So, there's more of a surplus. Y'all remember about the balance of payments, like what they do if there's a surplus in one account? There's a deficit or outflow in the other. So, if money's flowing in one account, it's flowing out of the other. They balance each other. And so,
It's D.
so it's got to be D. There's an increase in the financial account outflows. There is a deficit. That's what this one is saying, deficit. It is D as in dog.
That was the only one I crossed.
Oh no. Okay. Ryan, you good? Okay. Well, it's good to know. I don't think I've ever asked Ryan if he's good, and he's ever been good.
And then when an AP math took it last semester.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Why would you ask that? Because
I was bad at it last semester.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I did tell Mr. Scott that this year was going to be my highest AP scores because I told him in a meeting at the very beginning of the year that, like, well, since there's DC and AP, there's no person in their right mind that would sign up for AP and not be, like, totally locked in because they have that DC option. So I told him, expect all fives. And then I recently had a meeting with him. There were tears. And I readjusted my expectations.
So was that before or after they had released
No, it's still because I was just like, I was like, who signs up for AP and doesn't lock in? There's DC. You could just like get the credit and like not have to ever like my DC kids last semester. They forgot it all. But who cares? You already got the credit. you guys stupidly picked APs. My God. Oh, there's the easy path over here, and like the more expensive harder path over here. Ooh, let's go this way. All right, 15. Well, the quality points are the same, so it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
But like so much just forgot to fill out paperwork. So
Your mother works here. Hey.
it was before she started that.
Okay, an increase in the real interest rates. Interest rates went up. In the U.S. increases, what? If the interest rate in the U.S. increases relative to that to the rest of the world, capital should flow. Remember, capital in this case means money. Where's money going to go?
Into the United States.
So we can get rid of this and this and this because they want to take advantage of our sweet, sweet interest rates. Because remember, this is interest rates on savings accounts. But Miss Taylor, how do we know if it's an interest rate on a loan or an interest rate on like savings accounts? If it's talking about anything with trade, if it's talking about currency, if it's talking about balance of payments, if it's talking about trade at all, savings accounts. Literally every other question, if it talks about interest rates, it's interest rate on the loan. So it's the only context of like, what is this question about? If it talks about other countries, it's savings accounts. So, yeah, okay. It's B.
That was actually really cool.
Okay.
60
60 made you sad? Okay, here we go. In an economy, in an open economy, oh God. Okay, an increase in the government budget deficit. Pause. Budget deficit means what?
Less
No.
taxes and more government spending.
Less taxes, more government spending, more debt. How do governments get out of their debt? No.
Taxes.
Don't spend.
No talking premium.
Taxes?
No.
Don't spend.
Wait, no.
Oh, they, what's through that one people in the market?
No.
Did you say stabs?
Yes.
Lower interest rates.
No.
Oh, it's
They
like the thing-
borrow from banks in the story called Crowding Out. Oh,
That's nice.
okay. So,
So you might need to talk to Sam.
expect ones. Okay. I didn't get a single 1 or 2 last year. Come on, you can't do this.
How did you not get a single
Oh, I think I actually got maybe. I didn't get a 1. I didn't get a 1 last year. I think I got 2 2s. Most people were dumb. Okay.
So I got bad news.
I got recognition last year from my AP score by the district. If y'all take that away from me, I swear to God, I'm gonna murder each and every one of you. It's about me. This test is about me. It's not about you.
I've never seen a teacher aggressively rip so like.
Okay, every time you see the word deficit, 2 things should happen in your mind every single time. First thing, they must have spent money. That increases aggregate demand. Go them. Oh no, that though like raises interest rates. That's called crowding out. 2 things should happen simultaneously in your head. That's expansionary fiscal policy. Oh no, interest rates are higher. Interest rates are higher is literally this question. Just over here. So now, if there's a deficit and interest rates are higher, they want to save their money there. How do I know that it's about savings accounts? Because of here and here. Look at that. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna kill us. Okay, so
Is it A?
appreciate makes XN go down. So the trade deficit
Gets smaller.
gets larger.
Then what'd you say?
That's a trade deficit. It's B. Because down is deficit, up is surplus for XN. Where are you going? No, that's not.
The children need us.
Okay, next time bring Jessica. I don't know where she is.
She's babysitting.
Oh.
The children, because Gidry left them all here, so.
Why did you not just cancel the meeting?
I don't know, guess it was important.
Okay. let's finish those last two multiple choice questions. It appreciates because interest rates go up and you want to save your money there. So the demand for that currency goes up, causing it to appreciate. But flip side, if a currency appreciates, that makes XN go down. Well, when XN goes up, that's a trade surplus, but when XN goes down, that's a trade deficit. So the trade deficit will get larger because our currency is more expensive and people buy less of our goods, but we buy more of theirs because theirs are relatively cheap, making exports go down, imports goes up, trade deficit gets larger. Deficit.
So it just gets worse.
Yes. Okay. One deficit causes the other. I don't know if that's always true, but in this case it is. I just know you would be like, is that always the case? I don't know. In this case, it seems to work out okay. Okay. Let's do these last two.
Why don't they just make A/B tests like Georgia policy?
I don't know. What's that state that just passed like guns to teachers?
What? This one?
No, it wasn't the state.
It was
Alabama?
NY, I think. or something.
No.
way it was
No.
New York.
No.
It's a lie.
It's like it's in Alabama or Mississippi. It's like anyway, Alaska or anyway, I think you have to lock them up during.
Tennessee.
Is it Tennessee? Is it?
Let's Google.
What a state.
No. I'm just like saying like I just can't imagine my mental state and then also like, oh, she's deranged. Oh, and she's armed. Good thing I'm not a man. Okay, so let's talk about 55 and 58. And then we'll do an FRQ. Go.
Wait, this is a graph.
You don't say. In this class, no way.
How many graphs?
Dude, what is it?
It's not. Well, technically it's over there in the green.
Is this the one that's like
It has the
dollar
rules.
over yen and then yen over
Yes. Your head is blocking the graph.
dollar yen? And then is it amount of
Actually, go ahead and look it up.
Okay.
It might help you out.
quantity yen?
You don't have to draw a graph here.
I don't remember learning
Literally any of this.
I forgot the lines.
Why would you need a graph?
You don't. I'm just drawing it anyway. I just drew them for funsies. I was also going to write the 3 rules at the bottom. No, not for this question. But we're talking about graphs, so I'm drawing it.
Did it answer the first?
I actually knew the zero. The second one, I'm sure of a question mark.
If it is still.
Hello?
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I said you should give these.
It makes so much sense for 58.
Yeah, like
Somebody to be doing it a few times.
I'm just making sure.
Okay. How we doing? We good? All right. You did not need to draw a graph. I just did in case we forgot what they look like. That's the US dollar on the left and the yen on the right. So it'd be yen over dollar for the dollar graph, and then dollar over yen for the yen graph. And the rules of currency: one appreciates, one depreciates. One has a shift of demand, the other one has a shift of supply, and the shifts in the same direction. So if you just focus on which currency is wanted or not wanted, and then you just let the other graph like follow the rules. But that's irrelevant for this question. Assume that the United States current account balance is 0. So that means the current account and financial account are both 0. There's not an inflow, outflow, deficit, surplus. They're just both 0. If the US dollar appreciates against the Japanese yen, the demand for US exports will do what? Okay, it will decrease because of this whole thing. Appreciate makes XN go down. So they will buy less of our exports. So we can get rid of A and B and E. Okay.
Wait, if it appreciates, is there less demand for dollars? Yes. Because nobody
Yes.
wants to spend that much money on the stuff that we have.
Okay, so current account, financial account. XN is in the current account, XN. And we just said it's going to go down. And they are in balance of each other. So if the current account's going down, there's going to be an inflow in the financial account. And so there's going to be a surplus in financial. See,
Bro, come on, this is
okay. 38, 58. Numbers are hard. Okay. Which of the following will most likely cause a depreciation in a country's currency? So we're looking for something that would decrease the demand for money in that country. No one wants to spend their money there. Okay. Well, on A, if there is an increase in the price level, that means things are more expensive. And that's the answer.
That one was hard.
A decrease in inflation? Where is a decrease? No, because if inflation is
down.
If inflation is down, things are cheaper. And then if it's cheaper, when we want to buy stuff from there, so then we need that currency, which would make that currency appreciate. So we're looking for something that would decrease the demand of that currency. And if things are expensive, like they are in A, then we don't want to buy stuff from there. At least we look at it.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, let's do. God.
Should we do second?
It's fine.
I was like graph and stuff.
This game was gonna get a 0.
What?
This game was gonna get a 0.
Oh, wait, no. Can you do the third one? I'm in the third one.
Like unscored?
Wait, I'm in the third
I
think so.
I think we do the first one. This is like more bang for a buck on the first one.
I was gonna say, what is?
Doesn't even put it in now?
I can do one.
You can have an unscored. Okay.
By the way, because I looked at you in your face and like I was just like, I looked at Catherine too. It was really loud.
During William Klein's speech.
I have no comment. I have no comment.
No thoughts on
She like.
I have no comment.
I saw
No,
I saw
nothing
Mr.
to share.
Mr. Taylor had to.
Man,
It was like clearly expressed that he's like, bro. But I mean, like.
Resume. We're back. Okay. Hey, where's a recession?
High unemployment.
Yes, which would be what? High, low.
Low.
Low. Let's put X over here. Boop, 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 boop. B. Assume that the government increases its deficit spending. Okay, I said the word deficit. Two things should be going off in your head simultaneously. What? What just happened?
Crowding out.
That is also happening. And
Your spending is.
And they're spending more. Okay. Spending more. That is spending more. But also crazy enough. Okay. What effect will this have on real interest rates in Canada, and explain? So on B, they increases deficit spending. What effect will interest rates have?
It will go up
Interest rates will go up. Why?
because crowding out.
It's crowding out. Because we talked about crowding out.
You just say the word crowding out and like I don't know.
No,
Like,
Okay. So
You gotta pull up the basket.
this is not. Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of macro, the first thing that pops in my head is you just hovering around a basket aggressively.
Yes.
with all the
Forgot that I did that. Okay. All right. This is not part of the FRQ, but I'm going to draw it anyway. It's a loanable funds market. Real interest rates, quantity, loanable funds. Demand and supply. Those boobs are not good. They need boob augmentation. All right.
You're being recorded.
I don't care. So,
Go home.
oh no, I'm a government and I spent too much money this year doing expansionary fiscal policy. And I have a deficit. What can I do? I need to go to the bank Hello, bank. Here is the supply and demand of money available in the bank for loans. It's called the loanable funds market, with the real interest rate being the price of the loan and the quantity of loans available. But if I spend too much money, I need to take out a loan. I, the government, am going to take out a loan from the bank. Either there's more demand for loanable funds or there's less supply of loanable funds. Which one did y'all like? Less supply of loanable funds. Because the government just took them all to pay for their national debt. And that raises interest rates. So that's the story of crowding out, because the government crowds out private investors from having access to loans because the government takes them all. They take up all the space and all the loans.
They crowd
I've
everybody
never
out
understood
of the
that the
bank.
entire time.
Okay, that's good. You're learning it today and not the 11th. Okay,
We should tease that.
they crowd everybody out. They say, step back, these loans are mine.
It's on the 11th.
No, she means like.
The day after the test.
Are we making
Are we gonna have tutoring on Friday?
Never mind.
It's not bad.
No,
We have a tutoring party.
we're doing it right now, Amy. Okay, so because less loans available. Because the government took them all to pay for the deficit. Calvin.
What's that second word?
Interest rates go up because less loans available. Loanable funds, deficit spending and crowding out can sometimes be 7 or 8 questions on the AP test. At least.
Do you think I'll get a 4?
I would be mad if you didn't.
Do you think I'll get a 4?
Could we just write because of crowding out?
I don't know. I had to relook at the rubric again to see if that was accepted. I would not change.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. On C. Based off of your answer in Part B. Oh, what's our answer in Part B? Let's refresh our brains. Interest rates went up. Got it. Based off of interest rates going up, what happens to financial capital flows to Canada? Will there be more money flowing in or flowing out of Canada? Because
exports will go down.
No, that's not what they
No,
Because high interest rates means people want to do what?
Invest.
They want to save and invest their money where?
In America.
In Canada.
In Canada, because that's where interest rates are high.
Technically, right?
Okay.
Halfway there.
That's not technically right. I'm supposed to go up. No.
It's okay, Lucas.
The
The
currency's
saw
appreciating.
Mr. Eye.
I don't know.
Lucas, put down the pan.
It's a pencil.
No, like a pan, like.
Okay, I said flow into Canada to
Save.
save money because higher return. Well, you already said higher interest rates on B. I don't want you to say the same thing again. You can't say, you have to, why is that relevant? They make higher money, they make more money on savings accounts.
I think the only part of macro that stuck really well was interest rates. People want to invest more. That was it.
Okay.
That doesn't happen.
When it's the foreign thing.
Okay. On C. Canada and Norway are major trading partners. The exchange rate between the Canadian dollar and Norway's currency is the krone. Is determined by a flexible exchange rate market. Okay. Draw a correctly labeled graph of the foreign exchange market for the Canadian dollar. You can draw both the Canadian dollar and the krone, but they're only going to be graphing the one that they're asking for. Or they're only going to be grading the one that they're asking for. And so it says, show the effect of the change of the real interest rates that you identified in Part B on the equilibrium exchange rate of the Canadian dollar. So we're drawing the Canadian dollar, the CAD. How would you label the y-axis?
QLF.
Y-axis. Krona over
Canadian,
Canadian dollar. You can do that. K over C.
Why is one of the curve?
The graph?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. In more advanced eco classes, you know what the supply and demand looks like this. Like that. I know.
Because it's calculus.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
You know calculus?
I have used it. I don't know it. Okay. So, hey, if Canada has high interest rates, what's going to happen to our Canada graph? The demand increases, or you can say the supply decreases. Either way, I think it makes more sense to have more demand, though. Well, people are yelling in the hallway. All right. Make sure you draw your boobs. All right. Given your answer to part D,
Does that mean Canadian dollar appreciated?
it appreciated. The Canadian dollar appreciated, and the krona,
Depreciate.
or the krone depreciated. The krone depreciated. The Canadian dollar appreciated because the value of it went up on our boobs. All right. What happened to the international value of the krone? It depreciated because Canada appreciated. Assume Norway's current account balance is 0. As a result of the change in the value of the krone that you identified in Part E, remember the krone depreciated, will Norway's current account be in deficit, surplus, or stay the same, and explain? Hold on. I gotta check. Load. Just making sure that he's on the bus heading here. All right. All right. So Norway depreciated, Canada appreciated. What will happen to Norway's current account? Will it be in deficit, surplus, or stay the same? Because, explain. Will go up because.
Net exports.
What? Wait, I didn't hear you. Well, their value depreciated. You can't say they depreciated again, but when the currency depreciates, that makes things relatively
Cheaper.
and so they will sell more of them. Okay.
Could we explain it as because their financial account went down, so
No, the financial account would have gone in surplus because we're saying this is in deficit. No, surplus. Yes.
So I could say financial account goes down for Norway,
You could,
which would lead to the current account going up instead of going
but it's saying as a result of this part, and so
Okay.
depreciation.
Because exports are increasing.
Because net exports are increasing because it's relatively cheaper.
So since it's surplus.
So the Norway would be in surplus because the currency depreciated, made XN go up. And if XN is up, that's a surplus. If XN is down, it's
How
in.
would you like say relatively cheaper in like college board terms?
That's literally what the rubric says.
Because relatively cheaper.
Yeah, because goods and services in Norway are relatively cheaper. I mean, I guess you could use more pronouns than articles. Okay, G. What effect? I can't speak. What effect will the change in the value of the Canadian dollar have on Canada's net exports? So we're going back to Canada's currency. What happens to the value of Canada's currency? It went up. And so what happens to Canada's net exports? Do we have to explain?
No.
No. And H, that's right. This FRQ goes to H. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. There are 10 points here. Each graph is worth 2 points, labeling it and then doing it correctly. And so yeah,
But
it's
you
10.
don't need to explain. You can just say the
Okay.
decrease.
On your graph in part A, which is that current the whatever this is, Phillips curve, how will the change in Canada's net exports affect this? Label the new short run equilibrium point, not shift, point. Label this new point Z. Okay, so what happened to Canada's, let's go backwards. What happened to Canada's currency value? Which what happens to net exports?
They go down.
So then what happens to our point? Does it move higher to inflation or higher to unemployment if net exports are going down?
Unemployment.
Higher to unemployment.
Yes.
Because no one's buying. It's a leftward shift of aggregate demand if there's less net exports. And a leftward shift of aggregate demand is even further into a recession.
So a left shift aggregate demand is right movement.
Yes.
I have to boo boo boo.
Yes, you do. And that's a Z.
Got that. Man.
You sound like me.
Oh, which graph has the pie on the adjustments?
This could be pi. Inflation is pi.
We usually never label it.
Why are we bringing
Some dead economist was like, pie. I like pie.
Just a little. It's not actual
We
pie.
do writing for each
That's
other's
right.
What?
page. Do we explain that?
No, we don't have to. Okay. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling
Okay.
stressed.
It's in the
I'm
works.
Is that why you checked out?
Yes.
Okay, I am going to wait. How about that? I have this key. We did not finish this whole thing, but if you would like to take pictures of said key, so when you do finish the whole thing, you have something to check it against. Okay, so we did the front page already, so you know that. My document camera's not working, so I can't pull it up on the screen. But here is the second page, and yeah, that way. So second and third page, you can take pictures of. Hopefully you can read my handwriting. Peace out, Girl Scout.